I'll leave the room now and let Linda. I was going to say have her wicked way. Ask you a few more questions.
I'm Linda Martin and this is...
James Patrice.
This season of Dog Almighty is sponsored by the Tesco Pet Shop.
Tesco wants to make sure that your dog enjoys the taste of Christmas, just like you, with treats such as Christmas pudding biscuits, mince pies for dogs, and turkey and stuffing treats.
You can shop for these products and more for your dog in store or online at the Tesco Pet Shop.
Now this next guest has become a familiar face to us all. He was in My Living Room More Than My Own Mother, and I know Linda in particular will be robbing this book to frame the cover and add to her collection because she's a huge crush. Yes, Linda, I had to say it, I'm sorry. Had to.
We're only delighted to have Dr. Tony Holohan with us today and of course his lovely little dog Milish, and I'd eat her, she's beautiful.
And you'd eat Tony as well. Had to say that, apologies.
James.
I'll get it out of the way, Tony.
Yes, go for it.
I had a massive crush on you when you were doing all the COVID things every night at 6 o'clock. And I'd just say, now shush, I want to hear what he's saying. He's the only one talking any sense. I want to hear it. And I'd look forward to you being there and giving us the instructions every night. And I just thought you were absolutely wonderful. And then as it turned out, I found out that we used to live together. No, not together, but very close to each other in Richmond Court.
That's right, in Dartry.
Yes, in Dartry.
Yeah, I lived there from 95 until about 98.
Yeah.
And I was living there when I got married.
Yeah.
Dreamer, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have very happy memories of there.
And it was a very settled sort of area at that time. And we had a residence committee.
Oh, I'd love to be in that WhatsApp group chat.
Some of them.
Or WhatsApp, James.
Oh, it was all face to face.
A while ago, James.
It was better.
And some of them were utterly delightful, and some of them were not so.
Yeah, a little less desirable.
Yes, and me coming home at all hours in the morning, nowhere to park, and I just stopped the car, right. And the next morning there'd be a notice, do not park here. And I remember one person in particular, and the next day I went out, it was a Monday, and I'd been home about 4 o'clock, and I went out and I got hold of him. Oh,
physically as well.
If you ever.
Oh, we all saw you on the late, Linda. Don't worry about that. Now, Tony, we love you. Of course, you're fantastic. But the real star today, Milish. Tell us, how did Milish come into your life?
Well, through Ciara, who's my partner. So she's Ciara's dog, but we've kind of semi-adopted her.
Nice.
She came to Ciara when she was, we think, about 2.
Okay.
And she had escaped from where she was living and was found wandering. And through Ciara's sister-in-law, and her sister-in-law is a dog groomer, she came to Ciara. She was pregnant at the time. She subsequently had 6 pups, and homes were found for each of them, including for her in Ciara's house. And that was about 8 years ago. So we think she's about 10.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's... And my daughter, Clodagh, now has kind of adopted her. So Clodagh thinks she's kind of hers.
Right.
Yeah.
A bit of a fight over Milish sometimes,
maybe. It's great for Ciara because it means, the practical issues that arise when you have a dog, if you have commitments or if you're abroad or whatever.
Right.
So
people are queuing up.
Yeah, Ciara has her mum, thankfully, who minds her, Suzanne, but she has Clodagh now as well, who's very happy to take her and mind her, yeah. So,
free labour.
We
love a bit of that,
exactly.
don't we? Absolutely, yes.
Have you had dogs before, Tony?
We had dogs growing up, but we didn't have dogs in my house, if you like.
Right.
So we had dogs maybe twice, and we had cats, and we had guinea pigs and all of that.
And we're talking a farm? It sounds a bit like
no, not at all. No, we grew up in the suburbs.
Okay.
First of all in Dublin, that's where I was at 7 in Baldoyle, Grange Park, Baldoyle.
You're a north sider.
There you are.
Malahide.
Really?
There you go.
Oh, yes.
What part of the north
side? Malahide.
Oh, Malahide.
Yeah.
That's kind of an enclave of the south side that kind of...
Well, I mean,
isn't
it has its moments. It has its moments, yes. But I'm still technically a north sider.
You are.
Don't cross me, pal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, Baldoyle, Grange Park, but we left there in the early 70s. But I was in school up until first class. And then we moved to Limerick City. My dad was in the Guards. My mum was from Limerick, and they moved down there for us all to be closer to her parents. And I did all my, the remainder of primary school and secondary school in Limerick City, and then left for UCD in the mid '80s. So we did have pets, cats and dogs in Limerick, but not it just wasn't practical for us, just the way our lives were.
Absolutely, I
Because there are
understand that.
practical challenges involved. Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's not fair to dogs if you're not in a position to.
And,
true.
and that's interesting, then, Tony. So you stumbled upon Millet,
Yes.
through Ciara.
Well, I stumbled on Ciara first.
Ciara first, yes, absolutely. But it was to get to Millet, obviously. But so would you then? Do you think if you hadn't met Ciara, do you think you would have gotten a dog eventually, or was it something that was on your radar, or like that you kind of thought I wouldn't have the time, so I wouldn't be able to commit to it?
The straight and honest answer is no.
Yeah.
But actually, the longer answer is that it was a live conversation. So after Emer died in February of 2021, look, it wasn't a practical thing, particularly when she was sick. For us to have animals in the house, they would have represented a risk for her with some of the treatments that she was on, and so not many people will understand why that would be.
Yeah. You had to be mindful of all
all of those
yeah.
kinds of things. But then the kids were really keen to get a dog, and we had a serious discussion, and I said, look, I want them to really understand it and research it and really understand what the commitments would be.
That's so refreshing that you say that, Tony, because we say it, a lot of people get the dogs, for Christmas, or even, all about COVID, of course, COVID pets as well. People were kind of getting them,
Yes.
not thinking,
Yeah.
and then when life returned to normal, they were confronted with this task of looking after an animal that they weren't prepared for.
Yeah.
So you do have to think of those things, of course.
You do, and most of my siblings, I have 5 sisters, most of them have dogs, so I was kind of seeking a bit of guidance from them, and there was, make haste slowly was the kind of message,
Yes.
So
Yeah.
So we were still in the middle of that discussion when Ciara came along, and so that kind of took care of that.
Yeah,
So,
inadvertently solving the problem.
How I wish I'd been in your ear during the COVID announcements every night. I could have added a little appendage onto the end just to say, Tony, tell them not to buy dogs, because when this is over, people like me are going to have thousands of them, all unwanted.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway.
But imagine for some people at least, because isolation became an issue.
Well, it did, that's true.
And pets were such an important part, for some people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true you say that, Tony. Like, anyone living on their own during COVID as well.
Yeah. The
They were
companionship.
blessed to have their animals. They really were, it's horrific, of course.
And a reason to get out and walk. And
Yes.
and so on,
Exercise,
Yeah.
everything. And someone to give out to.
Yeah.
Who will,
Yeah.
you have to have
give out back.
Have to have an L bitch. You do, of course. It's very important.
So who exercises Millis the most? It sounds like Clodagh might be top, not top dog.
She's pretty good.
Yeah.
She is, and she takes. So I live quite close to Bushy Park in Turkey,
Yes.
so it's a great place for walks. Yeah. So and my daughter, my son Ronan as well. The two of them often go together with her. But myself and Ciara would probably be the most consistent.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And who picks up the poop?
We all do.
Oh, do
we all do. Not the not the most pleasant task.
No.
So, and
Has to be done. Yes.
and when we had dogs as kids, if you like, what has now become the norm of bringing plastic bags or
Yes.
whatever to pick up, that really wasn't a feature of care of dogs in
wasn't,
those
you
days.
say, no.
They went behind a bush and there was no issue about it.
No.
Now, I think if you were seen in the park with the dog and no bags and so on and so forth, you'd be getting
Yeah, and it's true.
dirty
because-
looks.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
Absolutely good reasons. I mean, because you know yourself. I mean, I absolutely adore animals, but I abhor anybody not cleaning up behind them.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Tony, I suppose, the C word, the old COVID. Yes, indeed. How, yourself, I suppose, how are you feeling now that it's kind of subsided? You have your book out and you're talking about it. Have you been able to breathe for the first time and kind of relax somewhat?
Well, we're away from that acute pressure, the pressure that I was under, and certainly from that point of view, that's good. I've moved on to things that I'm involved in a variety of different things that I'm interested in. So I'm happy about all of those kinds of things. But as a country, we've moved on very well. We've done well, but we still have the challenge, and I'm not involved anymore. And I've said, and I've said it privately as well as publicly, I won't be hurling on the ditch. It's a very good team of people there who've replaced me, and I have full confidence in them and all of that.
Yeah.
But it is, important for people to understand the importance of getting vaccinated still. And and the vaccine rates have dropped really alarmingly,
Wow.
including among healthcare staff. So your annual flu and COVID vaccine needs to be something that you're always thinking about and talking to your doctor about. And I keep mine up to date. I'm not just saying it. It's
No,
something I
of
do for
course.
myself and for my own
I
family.
got those two yesterday.
Oh,
Did
go
you?
away,
Good.
good woman.
Good.
Yeah.
I need to get my flu jab. Is it too late?
No, it is not too late.
No.
No.
Hey.
Pop into your local pharmacist.
That's where I got my COVID one, actually, my initial one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that it was maybe an old wives' tale. Ask December, don't bother. No use.
No get it.
We often have often our waves of influenza in this country. It doesn't always follow this pattern. Start in late December and go through into January and sometimes longer. So there's plenty of reason.
And Tony, the book, first of all, a beautiful cover.
Thank you.
Could I have another look at the cover?
Oh, do you want to have a look there then? Go on. Go for it. Tony, how was the process of sitting down and collating your life and your thoughts and everything? Was it cathartic? Was it, sad at times? Did you have to step away from it sometimes to get a bit of clarity?
Although I think in general terms, particularly the personal side of it, in other words, Emer's illness and her death and the challenges that created for us and the family and so on, I wouldn't have been able to write about those things if I hadn't, in a way, so I didn't write in order to process that. Yeah. I don't think, for me, that wouldn't have been healthy. And but I worked with Emily Hurricane, who helped with this, and she was wonderful. And I don't think the book would exist if it wasn't for her.
Did she help you with the structure and
so what we
train
did,
of thought?
She actually, we met and we spoke a little like this around themes, maybe a couple of dozen times, and then she created a narrative from that, and that then gave me a substrate to start to really work with and edit and edit and edit and re-edit and so on. But that arc, as she calls it, of the story, she laid out, and the kind of way it goes from one chapter going in and out of the personal and professional. That was all her, if you like, initiative.
Yeah.
But like, if I had to start with, I think, a pen and a sheet of blank paper,
literally,
I don't think I would.
Where do you
I don't
begin?
I don't think I would have a book, to be honest.
And what was your? I'm always curious with authors. I remember Celia Hearn said she wrote at night always.
Yeah.
What was your kind of schedule for writing? Did you sit down with the laptop open? Did you have a bit of music playing, or what was your vibe?
So she and I had our meetings like then at kind of regular times. We'd meet sort of 3 times a week for no more than 2 hours, because that was as much as you could do it at a point in time. But when I was doing the editing work, then I tended to do it often in the early mornings.
Okay.
So I'm an early morning waker, and I'd sort of get up and get at it for a few hours, and then I'd go out and have a walk. But I tend to do it quite intensively, and I work quite intensively on it, and part of the reason for that was because I didn't really know the process. And I didn't have a sense of, God, if I don't get this done, I might not hit the timeline.
Yes.
Then I discovered I was exceeding all the timelines and exceeding their expectations, but I was putting myself under pressure.
No less there.
Because I just didn't know. Do you know what I mean? It was.
Yeah.
I understand the process a lot better now.
But when you do book 2, you give yourself a bit of slack there.
I've done my book, as they say, and I was writing the others. But a fascinating process.
Tony, what do you do to relax? Because I imagine that your job is seriously, seriously intense.
Yeah, but I'm able to. I think I'm able to relax. And
do you play golf?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
I played a bit over the years, but I stopped playing about 5 or 6 years ago. A bike accident and a shoulder dislocation kind of stopped me.
Okay.
I was a regular cyclist. I cycled to work,
Yeah.
but I walk.
Yeah.
I walk pretty much every day. And
Bit of football? You play?
I don't play football anymore, not at this age, and it would be good for me. But I wasn't ever any good, but I did play football, GA.
Oh,
and I was
right.
involved in coaching GA for quite a number of years, and was very involved in the local club. But I listen to music, and I play a bit of guitar, and I read when I can. Yeah,
Okay.
A little bit of yoga, maybe.
No, I never.
I've heard you're great with the downward dog.
Now tell me about Man U, because my other half is a Man U fan as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're following their fortunes. As my son is also a Man United fan, so we.
Right. Do you religiously go to the matches in England, for instance?
I wouldn't say religiously. We've been there, I'd say, 6 or 7 times, the two of us.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's an easy weekend for us in the sense that I have a sister who lives outside Manchester, so we make it a weekend to stay with her
lovely.
and her partner, and and so we've been. The last time we were there, now it's April of 2022. When Ronaldo scored a hat-trick. I'm sure you remember that.
I'm sure I don't.
Yeah. It was only his second ever hat-trick for United. The first one was when he was with us the first time around. But
And have you met all of them? Like, I know Roy Keane's name, and I think he's wonderful. Have you met any of them?
Well, I met Roy Keane by chance. We were coming through the airport actually after, and again, I'm sure you remember this, there was a Manchester derby that we were at in the Etihad Stadium against Man City, and we lost 3-1. And it was a pretty painful trip, and we were flying back that night, myself and Ronan, my son. And who's behind us in the security queue on his own? Genuinely, only Roy Keane. So we waited on the far side to just, and I didn't like to kind of, annoy him or whatever, to ask if he wouldn't mind having a photo. And he was very obliging.
Yeah.
And he actually, what he said to me was, he said, You asked me, he said, so I'll do it. Most people don't bother asking me. That's what he said.
That's
So I thought, okay,
interesting.
fair enough. Yeah.
Because
fair enough.
I actually I know he can look after himself and everything, but I've never actually heard anything bad about him. He's usually very pleasant to fans and things like
Absolutely.
that. But he also does so much good work for guide dogs.
He does. I was aware of that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And he's from Cork. I think
Yes.
Roy's from a place called Mayfield. Does that ring a bell? And to my knowledge, we used to do a gig in the community centre pub in Mayfield, and it was wonderful. And we had regulars who used to come up and sing with us on stage and everything, you know.
amazing.
So, but it's I know where he's from, but he's always, to my knowledge, been very, very pleasant to people. But I think he's fabulous.
Well, even
because he
just-
doesn't take any nonsense from anyone.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
It was a quiet night going through the airport in Manchester. It was late night flight.
Yeah.
And just listening to, you were aware of him behind us, the banter he had with the security staff and all that kind of stuff. You could tell he's a nice guy.
Absolutely.
They were, they were just being genuine and,
I remember.
But he has a persona, which
yeah,
he has to play into, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I remember Eric Cantona.
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
No,
by
I
any
didn't.
chance?
No, I haven't met very many of the players.
Right.
We were in Malaga, myself and the kids, in January, actually, and we were in a tapas bar, and we saw Dennis Irwin sitting at the bar.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Did you go over to him?
We didn't. We left him alone. He was on
right.
a break. We left him
He
alone.
was having
We
his
kind of
tapas.
decided- Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
Can't interrupt
You,
tapas.
you see, I imagine people like you would go to Man U and you'd be up in one of the fancy boxes.
No.
Really?
No.
Salt
No,
in the air,
I think
salt.
going over to Man U, no one would know me over there. Do you know, unless you ran
Of
into some
course
Irish
they
people.
would.
Unless you ran into some Irish people, I guess half of Manchester is Irish, you could
Yes.
say. But
That's the thing.
Um,
Just
no, I prefer it that way, to be honest. Sorry,
Exactly.
Jane.
Yeah.
Well, you're grand. To go back to our lovely little nurse there who's enjoying a treat, does Milish rule the roost at home?
She does.
Yes.
She does in a way, you know. And to be fair now, Ciara has her well trained about things like furniture and about.
Yeah. Would she
No.
sleep on the bed?
If she was given the chance, she would.
Yes.
If she was given the chance, she would. But like eating, and eating around the table and eating from the table, there are kind of strict enough rules about all those kinds of things. Things that I would have.
You wouldn't even think twice.
I broke
Yes.
those rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I was
Of
quickly
course. You were-
reprimanded.
So really it was about training you.
It was about training me.
Never mind
And
the
she-
dog.
And Ciara told me that the idea of like how the dog trains you if you let them, and I hadn't ever thought about that before.
Yeah.
True.
Say when we had kids, I was a child. So, and were the dogs trained? Probably not.
No.
But Milish is well trained, but if you let her, she'll start to assert, where
Of
she,
course.
what she eats, when she eats, where she
Yeah.
sits, and all that kind of stuff. And she'll push you down on the couch, and if you're not careful, you'll end up sitting on the floor, and she'll be on the couch
Yes.
and all that.
That's me.
As it should be.
That's me. I'm lucky I get a space on the settee.
Yeah.
Surely not. Now, what's your dog's name, Linda?
That's Speedy.
Speedy.
Yeah, she's with me now about 5 years or so.
Beautiful.
She's grand. She's
That's a
grand.
Chihuahua.
Well,
Is it?
there might have been a Chihuahua somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere along
It was
the
a bit of
line.
an L dip of a chihuahua
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
Absolutely.
She's grand.
Is there, I suppose, a bit of a social aspect with Milish as well? Like yourself and Ciara, is that part of your kind of routine now, going out for the walks as well?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. As there is with, when you meet other people with dogs in the park and so on, so it generates conversation and so on.
True.
The dogs start to interact, which means the owners or whatever start to interact. So
Of course. And who is good cop, bad cop with the dog, yourself or Ciara?
Probably Ciara. Yeah. So she's the one with the rules.
Yes.
I'm the one who's likely to be breaking them.
Yes,
That's the truth of it.
but you're
Or,
lucky.
where things have to be pointed out to me. I might not see the risk attaching to another dog and the way this other dog is.
Yeah.
I've learned it a little bit.
Of
But watching
course.
the body language of another dog as it approaches or whatever, or how Milish is behaving or responding when you can see another dog coming along the path, that sort of stuff.
Totally.
And it's a lot then about prevention, So in Bushy Park, if you know it, but you can imagine in a park you've got ponds and you've got ducks and swans and all that kind of stuff.
A few risks around.
A few risks around,
Yeah.
and so she has to be. But she knows now the spots in the park where the lead goes back on. And she stops and allows you to put the lead back on and all that kind of stuff. So she's generally very well behaved. Actually, just as a by the way, when I'm thinking about that park, there was quite a bit written about this in the media at the time. There's a dog killed by a swan there about 2 years ago. I'd say it was in the summertime. Yeah, somebody's dog was off a lead and went into the pond after the swans, and maybe the swan protecting cygnets or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so so there's
Yeah,
signs
so-
up all over the park telling dog owners, what they Should be
'Cause
doing.
people always assume that the dog is going to be the one causing the chaos or whatever, but it's a risk for dogs as well.
Yeah,
to be off the
indeed,
lead, of
indeed,
course, yeah.
indeed.
And do you think you might get a little companion for a minute? Have you thought about that?
I don't really think so. Because I have the 2 kids at home with me. They're both in university now. Obviously, they're both very comfortable with and they love Milish, but they're not around all the time.
Of course.
And I'm
Yes.
not around all the time. I'm involved in some things that has me out of the country for periods of time. I'm doing some work with the WHO, for example. And, I'm not around therefore. So, like, Ciara has the backup of not just us, but also her mum.
Yes.
But, without that kind of extended backup, and we wouldn't have that. So my 2 kids, could be off or away or socialising or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
yeah.
as you can imagine, they're 21 and 22.
They've got
this week's
lots
plans,
to do.
or
Yeah.
today's or tomorrow's plan could, by the time you get to tomorrow, could have changed. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
so in ways that they mightn't even appreciate, it can be restricting. So I just don't think it'd be wise or the right thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And we have plenty of access now.
Yeah.
to-
Tony,
to
did you always want to get into medicine?
I did. It's just, in school, but I didn't really have a great sense of what it might entail.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have anybody in the family. She's staring at me.
I know she is.
I'm obsessed
What
with
are we
this.
doing?
Yes,
Just
look
standing-
at you.
She's definitely communicating
Just
to me.
tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Ah, God.
She's gorgeous.
But there was no one in the family who did medicine, so
Okay.
I didn't have that kind of. And it must have been TV and a few other sources like that gave me a sense
Yeah.
of what, there was nothing you could look up on the internet, or you couldn't watch YouTube videos or any of that kind of stuff that you can do now to give yourself an understanding of anything.
And are Ronan and Clodagh following your footsteps?
It's sort of Clodagh is doing physiotherapy. She
Okay.
finishes next summer. She's in Trinity. Ronan completely the opposite. He's doing actuarial studies in UCD, and he's in 3rd year.
Wow.
And something about which I know.
Are they both loving it? They both
Yeah, they do.
enjoy it?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. They're enjoying college life, and they're enjoying life at the moment now. They are.
At Trinity, I went to Trinity and I just
Oh, did
remember
you?
going. I had a part-time job at the weekends in a pharmacy, and I spent more money than that because you're in the middle of Grafton Street. So
How did you get into Trinity?
I'm not too 500 of me leaving cert. Did
you?
I didn't, jeez.
Very good.
What can I
Very
say?
good.
No, I did drama and French, highly unemployable. But what I'm saying is, she must have a ball because you're slap bang in the middle, shopping all the
Yes,
time,
absolutely.
coffees everywhere.
Well,
Brilliant.
actually, the way it works for physiotherapy, the physiotherapy centre, if you like, of education is actually in a biological sciences building down in James's hospital site. So,
and see, she's
safely
a real
away from the
student.
shops.
Yeah, you
She's
say.
a real
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But you must be so proud of them.
Yeah, of course, everyone's proud of their
Yeah.
children. Yeah. Of course
Great.
I am.
Yeah.
And
Did you ever think about medicine?
Would you believe in transition year I did a week's work experience in Beaumont because I had said maybe I'd do it, and I remember I was actually talking to the one of the doctors chatted to me at the end of the week, and he said, "Oh, so you're thinking of doing medicine?" I said, "Yeah, I think it'd be great." And he was like, like you'll have no life." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, like you're signing your life away for about 8 years or so minimum, and then you might have life." And I thought, no.
No,
Wouldn't have
not
any
for
time
me.
for that now.
No.
No, it's quite intense. So I left
Yeah.
it.
Might have been a bit boring for
Might have
you,
been a
I
bit.
think. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know? So, but that's what work experience is for.
yeah, indeed,
Yes,
indeed,
yes.
indeed, yeah.
Getting it, Steffo.
He put you off then, did he?
Kind of, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because he was. I think he was quite real. You know, he was
Yeah.
saying like this. It is
Absolutely.
a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
You know.
But the thing is that for people who choose that career or any of the health sciences, you're highly employable.
Very
You
true.
have transferable skills that you can travel the world with if you're
It's
if
true.
you speak the languages and so on. So
But now I'm sitting here talking about dogs. So I mean,
Exactly.
do you know?
I know, so your 500 points are no good to you, really.
But I'm sitting beside Linda Martin.
Oh,
I'm doing
stop.
something right,
Stop.
aren't I?
Listen to tell you something. I always wanted to be a vet,
Yeah.
Did you?
and my father was very strict. And there I am, and he was also very mean. So I'm working up to O levels, A levels. I had no money. So I saw an ad in the local paper, singer wanted.
Yes.
Oh, says I.
Yeah.
Away I
I'll do
went. I
that.
got the job, and I got a few bob every weekend. Now he's having conniptions. Then I lost the run of myself, and the veterinary medicine went straight out the window. And suddenly here I am, all these years later. But I'm surrounded by animals, of course. But it's funny the way you do change, and what changes you.
Yes.
Like if he hadn't been mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have needed a job.
I always think in life you kind of end up, as cliche as it is, where you're meant to be. I think.
We wouldn't have had you as a singer then.
See?
And the Eurovision and all of that.
You'd only
we would
have 6
We'd have been
wins.
deprived of all of that joy of the country.
You might have
Tony?
been lucky.
No, not at all. You're doing yourself down now.
Lynn's a big fan of yours. Do you like the Eurovision?
I do. We always, as kids, we
It
have
happened
strong
on-
memories.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've got plenty of views on this. I mean, when it was a smaller competition, and we tended in relative terms to do well, and we had a chance. And I think I don't necessarily understand all the reasons behind this, but I think it's much, much harder for acts coming out of this country. But we always did disproportionately well because we've got such, I think, and we still do, amazing musical talent in this country. We've amazing. Even
Can you sing, Tony?
I can't. I don't
That's
sing.
not a
I don't
no.
sing. It's not a no. And I'm not about to start.
After a few glasses, you say.
Yes. Coming.
Lynn, if you gave us me and Tony could join in.
No.
We'll join in.
James, be my guest.
Go on.
Yourself and Millish can join in.
Actually, does Millish sing? Does she like the music?
She does. One thing she does that Clodagh does to entertain her friends is she plays a tin whistle.
Right.
Just plays the tin whistle, and whatever she gets to a certain note, and Millish starts to howl.
Yes.
Yeah, and then she's got video of this, and she thinks it's the funniest.
Absolutely. I think
Amazing.
it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So entertaining.
Yeah.
We're easily pleased when it comes to dogs, aren't we?
I know we are, but you know something, they're a breath of fresh air. I couldn't do without them because this old business that we work in, I mean, you have to do it as well. You put a face on for the public.
Yeah.
But you don't go home with that same face.
No, I mean, that your persona and the job
Yes,
you're doing and the job you did as a singer and so on isn't the whole person. No.
So you go home and the dogs don't care whether you're in a tracksuit or you've makeup on or
Exactly.
anything else. You know,
Yeah.
I think they're great levelers and very calming as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, my mommy always used to say, anybody who loves dogs will go to heaven.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So we're all going.
Nice thing to
Yeah.
say.
That's always good to
We
think.
can all have a sing-song in heaven.
Absolutely. Tony, we promised you we would do, before we let you go, some quick fire round questions.
Oh yes.
So these may
Was it
seem
threat
obscure.
or a promise?
But, threat, more like it, yeah. Then do you kick off there?
All right. If Millish had to choose between you and a steak, who do you think she'd choose, or what do you think she'd choose?
Mistake.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Straight in there. Who eats the most treats, yourself or Millish?
Oh, Millish, of course.
Yes. Never admit that, no.
You didn't catch me winking on video.
Well, we are recording the entire
No,
session.
no.
That's either here or there.
Who's cooking on Christmas Day?
Me and Ciara's joining us actually for the first time.
Okay.
But
brilliant.
normally it would be me. So there's going to be the two of us. I think,
Okay, so you can cook.
Ciara's a good cook. I do cook. Yeah, it's something.
Excellent.
I do cook, and I like.
So
to cook,
are you fighting over who's doing the turkey, or is it...
No, we're not. No. But it's
Yet.
far out yet.
Yes. I like that. Very true.
No, I think it's going to be. We work well together in when we cook, and yeah.
Amazing. There's harmony in cooking
Yeah.
sometimes. There is. I like this one. So, dogs can sniff and breathe
Yeah.
at the same time. Can you?
Sniff and breathe at the same time.
Try it there.
I don't. I find it difficult to do two tasks at the same time, no matter what they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no one can.
Yeah, I'm
So,
a man.
There you
see,
go.
So I can't multitask. Isn't that the
exactly.
explanation, James?
Exactly.
There,
Totally.
there is a thing called circular breathing.
Yeah, you were saying
No,
this. before,
I
yeah.
haven't done it, but I've seen it done. Can you relate to that?
No, go on.
Well, they can breathe in and breathe out. It's literally circular breathing.
Okay.
Now, but you can practice.
If I turn my mouth into a circle,
No,
it doesn't work.
no.
It was worth the shot. It was worth the shot.
Who do you think is smarter, you or Millish?
Oh, Millish for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would snore louder, yourself or Millish? Now I know she's not in the bed, but if you were falling asleep on the settee down the living room, who would be the loudest?
I'd say I might be loud enough if I was.
All right.
But I don't know how much I snore really, but she does get into episodes of noisy breathing at night time. She
Yeah,
does.
yeah, yeah.
She does, and she can be a bit snorty on occasions.
Yeah.
But generally she's not. She's a very quiet dog, and she's really,
She's
she's
I
a
think she's
perfect house
gorgeous.
dog. You see her here. She hasn't moved. She's
No.
quite content to just be
Very lucky dog
Yeah,
where she
yeah,
came
she
from
is,
to
yeah.
fall in your lap.
well trained, I
Absolutely.
think.
Yeah,
That's-
she is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we'll finish this, and this is a nice one now. Tony, if Millish was a person, what job would they have?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. What job do they have? I'd say a chief medical officer.
I love it. I love it. Tony, thank you so much.
Not at all, James. You're welcome.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you very much.
And Mills, thank you. I'll leave the room now and let Linda. I was going to say have her wicked way. Ask you a few more questions. We'll wrap it up there.
Dog Almighty is brought to you by Tesco.
For a happy and healthy pet, shop online or in store at the Tesco Pet Shop for all your furry friends' needs.